Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. We're going to comment the victory of Lazio against AC Milan. Surprising victory for more, but not for us, as we said in the last podcast. Today, Alasdair McKenzie is not here. He was busy, as he told us last week. So I'm Vittorio Campanile. With me, we have a new guest. We have Simon D'Aquino. Hi, Simon, and thanks for joining us.
Hi, Vittorio. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? All good?
Yes, especially after the match of today, I would say that.
Of course, definitely.
Everything is fine. Before starting talking about the match, I want your opinion on what happened. On Saturday, they postponed Sampdoria-Roma for bad weather. They said that it could be flood in Genoa. And then the day afterwards, floods in Rome, but Lazio-Milan just postponed about a couple of hours. What's your thought about that?
For Sampdoria-Roma, I actually think that the situation is even worse, considering that the match was postponed actually 3 days before the actual game, which, to be perfectly honest, was the right decision to do, knowing that there was going to be what we can call a total apocalypse with rain and everything. The thing with Rome is, it's not like it was something that wasn't meant to happen, that happened all of a sudden. In Rome, it was something that it was known for over a few days that there was going to be this amount of water, this amount of rain. It had been said Rome is going to be completely flooded. And therefore, my thoughts are, if we knew about Rome as well, possibly with not the same effects as Genova, of course, or as we know, Livorno, which had a terrible, where they had a very bad situation there. Anyways, we knew that Rome was going to be this problematic. Why wasn't nothing done before? And why wasn't any precautions taken in any case for even tourists that were in the center of Rome? Because anyways, in this period, it's still full of tourists, as we well know. Not just because of the football match, of course, but also in center of Rome, it's still full of tourists.
You went to the match. Was it complicated to reach the Stadio Olimpico for you? How was the condition in the end?
I actually went with the tube, with the metro A and B to get there, and then I took the tram. And to be perfectly honest with you, it was pretty easy. I was surprised by this. I was actually considering it to be much more complicated. The only thing, of course, was it was completely full of puddles, and that did make it a bit difficult to walk in between the obstacles. Let's call it this way. I actually ended up in a big puddle, and it kind of soaked all my trousers. But we scored 4 goals, so at the end it's all forgotten.
It was worth it. It was worth it.
It was definitely worth it. Yeah.
Simon, what do you think? Last year, Lazio struggled a lot against big teams. Start winning only at the end of the season, thinking about the derby against Roma twice. But before that, especially in Serie A, never beaten a bigger team. This season, Supercoppa Italiana, victory against Juventus. Today, against AC Milan. What's changing? What do you think it's changed in the team?
In one word, I'd probably say organization. Because Lazio is a team which I think is very well aware of its difficulties, where maybe it's less stronger, and therefore takes advantage of the situation, and therefore knows where their weaknesses are, and does something to help it. And what's more, now we've Simone Inzaghi is now at his second year playing with Lazio. Managing Lazio. And the fact is, he knows very well the Lazio world more probably than anyone else in the Lazio world today. Maybe just Manzini knows Lazio more than Simone Inzaghi right now for how the team is. But the fact is, he definitely worked on every single aspect of Lazio's game today. Lazio came on the pitch completely organized, and I saw the same thing that I saw in the Supercoppa Italia, a team which doesn't want to give up, a team that plays all the way to the end. Something that last year, many times we were conceding early goals, which could have jeopardized the whole game. And maybe sometimes we were distracted. We had moments where we were distracted. And even the first game of the season against Spal, we were you know, it's normal that at the beginning of the season you can not perform at 100% of your potentiality. And I think that Lazio today performed at 100%. Why? Because most of its players also come from national teams, and they've had the chance also to play at very high levels. Immobile, of course, above all of them, Milinkovic-Savic. But, we are a very organised team, and very differently from what I consider AC Milan to have been today. Totally disorganised and a big shock.
I don't know if you agree, even the confidence of the players have increased compared to last year. I got the feeling that playing against a top team, these players were coming in like, okay, we'll try our best, but we know that probably it won't be enough. While probably thanks to Inzaghi, as you were saying, last year, they found out that they really can beat teams of a higher level, and they can perform really, really well and compete with top teams. And so they come in knowing that it's going to be an open match. They can win, they can lose, but the match is open. And I think that's that. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Now, I personally see a team. What's more, and when I say a team, I mean like a group of players that knows each other now. Before, it was kind of, Inzaghi was starting to create some kind of a group, which obviously before wasn't happening. Maybe because of some members which could have been spoiling the situation in the dressing room. I wouldn't know that, and of course that's not my business. But of course, I see a different team with a different spirit this year. I personally don't think we have the substitutes to compete on three fronts, which is obviously we've got 3 cups. But I personally do believe that the group is much more solid than last year, and that is an incredible advantage for us because everyone is ready to work for the player next to him, and that is very good for who we are right now.
And I think everybody knows what they have to do in the pitch. I mean, the team is very well organized, and even the players that come in knows what type of football style Lazio will play with Inzaghi, which is very good. I think one of the difference today was that, Lazio struggled at the first 10 minutes, let's say something like that, 10, 15 minutes, but afterwards start playing football and dominated the match. And it looks like every player on the squad knew how to play, knew what to do, knew how to move. While
Inzaghi, I think Inzaghi has worked very much on this 3-5-2 side. He's worked on it. He's kind of made sure that certain players know exactly where to be on the pitch. For example, one above all for me personally, I'm a big fan of Jordan Lukaku, and he today, he comes on, he plays, and he's a substitute of Lulic, and in the 3-5-2 where he plays, he is completely unstoppable, and he's constantly both defending and attacking. Perfect. Something which I believe some players could struggle when, you come from one team to another and you're not used to playing 3-5-2, 4-4-2, 4-3-3. It's not easy to get into a new system of a game. I think Inzaghi, what he's done has been outstanding in making sure that his players know how to play on a system. And even when the game becomes difficult, he can change things around, he can swap things. And as you obviously said, the substitutes, he has played an incredible job with the youngsters, with the under 21s, because obviously he comes from managing under 21s, the Primavera, and so he knows how to work with the Murjas, with the Palombis. So when these players come on, they know what Inzaghi expects them to do, which is something that most managers probably don't manage to give to the players before going on into the professional level on the Serie A pitch.
You talked about Lukaku. Are you a little bit surprised he didn't play that much this season? He ended last season very, very well, and even in the Supercoppa, he came in and changed the match. Are you surprised?
I personally think that the problem with Lukaku was, I remember watching a Portugal versus Wales game in the Euro last year. Belgium versus Wales game last year. It was the quarterfinals of the Euro, and Lukaku was playing on the Belgium team, and I personally thought he was the worst man on the pitch at the time. And this was back in June. When we bought Lukaku, I was a bit surprised because I understood that I personally saw that the player was mostly not ready to play on a team that plays with 4 defenders. What do I mean with 4 defenders? Playing on 4-3-3 or 4-4-2. I personally went with the guys of the Lazio London club to see Brighton versus Lazio, and in the 4-3-3, he did a fantastic progression down on his left wing, or I think it was the left wing. Then he put it in, but then Brighton went into a counter-attack, and he was still on the other side of the pitch. And I was thinking, why is he still there? He's supposed to be a left-back. And the fact is, look, when Inzaghi changed the team to 3-5-2, I think that is more to his advantage, to his strength, because Lukaku is more of a player that can play far on the sides of the 3-5-2. Definitely not a player that can play on the 4-3-3. But that's obviously a personal opinion of mine.
I think he improved a lot when he came to Italy. He was always been very good when attacking, and he used his speed, his physical power that can make a difference, especially in the Serie A. But Deschillo
knows something about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, he showed it even in the past. I mean, I remember the first derby he played. He was astonishing when he was attacking. Yeah. But he learned even to defend much better. Now, I'm not saying he will turn on Maldini, but no. He's a decent defender, so he's someone that can play in Serie A and prove that he deserves to play to this level. But one of the discussion I had with Alasdair in the past podcast was, will Inzaghi replace Lulic and make Lukaku play more? Or do you think that he will play Lulic like he's doing now because he's the captain, he's the more experienced, and he doesn't want to get rid to the senators of this team?
I think right now he doesn't. I mean, there's an Italian saying that says "Squadra che vince non si cambia." Team that wins doesn't need to be changed. Right now, Lulic knows perfectly well the codes of the team. He's obviously he's now become a senator in the dressing room for Lazio. You know, he's a hero for all Lazio fans, and at the same time, he knows he knows where he's playing. I mean, Lazio is, of course, it became his home now, and what's more, he has now become an idol for the supporters. It is hard to take off a player with this kind of personality, with this kind of how can we put it, star level between supporters. I mean, obviously, he's not for me personally, he's not the strongest team on the pitch. That for me stays on Milinkovic-Savic, but definitely he's a good player for the first 60 minutes. After 60 minutes, Lukaku is devastating because, you know, the players that play against him are more tired, and Lukaku obviously plays mostly on his power, on his physicality, which can be can be devastating after 60 minutes of a match against someone who's played more than twice what he's playing right now.
Yeah, I think, Lulic has big experience. He still makes too many mistakes that can be dangerous, especially in that zone of the pitch, but his experience, he showed it today in the second goal. His assist was terrific.
Yeah, absolutely terrific. And it's not the first time. We have to underline, it's not the first time he does that, I think.
Yeah. The problem is he has high and low. He didn't play very well the last match against Chievo. Today he was much better, and that's probably one of the reasons.
I agree. I was actually in Chievo. I was actually in Verona 2 Saturdays ago, Sunday ago. Sorry, watching the match. Lulic was the worst person on the pitch, in my opinion, 2 weeks ago. And today, he instead played a pretty decent game. I think that probably Lulic is starting, as you perfectly well underlined, he sometimes has too many highs and lows, and. With us, Lukaku can be a perfectly valid substitute with him, as long as it's for me a 3-5-2. I wouldn't personally see Lukaku in a 4-3-3 or a 4-line defence. That is the only thing I'm a bit worried about Lukaku. Whereas Lulic can kind of adapt himself to that.
Yeah, Lulic can play all the position there. I think even in the 3 strikers if needed. So
yes, exactly correct.
What do you think was the key of today's victory?
I'm going to say something that's probably going to be surprising, but I think the key aspect of today's victory was seeing AC Milan in that state. I went to this game thinking, a team like AC Milan, that had been talked so much by the media during the summer, and getting so many players on their side during the summer, new signings and everything. They've got an incredible amount of excellent players on their team, and today, as you very well underlined, they played 10-15 minutes at high levels, and then they kind of disappeared. I think, the key the key to this victory for today was our organisation compared to a total lack of organisation by an AC Milan team, which was pretty shocking for someone, who goes there, expects, to see a Bonaventura, Suso, even Biglia, Bonucci. Bonucci today, he was completely destroyed by Immobile. Immobile didn't literally give Bonucci any chance of getting himself back. I mean, Bonucci was terrible today, absolutely terrible. And you think, how did this happen for a player that has been bought for 40 million euros? That is bad. And I think, I think personally, AC Milan have got a big problem due to the fact that they had no big scoring opportunities apart from Montolivo and a couple of shots in the first half. They play on their single players, whereas Lazio play as a team. That, for me, is probably the key to our victory, being a team.
I think, talking about Bonucci, and we said it with Alistair last week, is that he's used to, and he's very good when the defense is three-man defenders. When you play with four, he struggles in the marking situation, and that's what happened in the second goal. So, that's one of the reasons why Bonucci didn't play very well, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't understand why Milan didn't switch to a three defense, buying Bonucci instead of keeping with a four-man situation. Ramiel Gendi wrote us saying everyone was saying Luis Alberto is so slow and lack pace. He surprised us all with the pace. He was fantastic today and the whole season so far. I think Luis Alberto.
Credit to Inzaghi on that. Yeah, credit to Inzaghi on that because he believed in the man. I mean, he was someone who at January last year was supposed to be leaving Lazio. He didn't find himself good in the Serie A, and I think Inzaghi's credit, and it's all Inzaghi's credit there to have kept believing in the man. I mean, from someone who was about to leave Lazio in the transfer market of January, now playing on the first team, I think that's one hell of a good improvement on a player.
And I think the match changed when Luis Alberto started to play a little bit better, move the ball faster, and take control of the pace of Lazio midfield. There, things changed. Milan started to struggle, couldn't do anymore the pressing they were doing at the beginning of the match, and there where things changed. I think Lazio has two players that can change the game: Luis Alberto and Milinkovic-Savic, and they did it. And simply, Lazio proved to be too good with those two players playing at that level.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Luis Alberto has, as I said, it's obviously credit to Inzaghi for getting him back on the pit, getting back on the first team. But obviously, he's learnt how to play now with the first team, and that's obviously his merit as well. Milinkovic-Savic, well, all I can say about the player is for me personally, he is the strongest player Lazio have on their team. I personally believe him to be our fuoriclasse. How can you call him? He's really intense in his game. He's exploded. He's a star. Milinkovic-Savic now has really become one big reality for me.
And he's complete. He has skill. He's technical. He's physical. Great header, etc., etc. I really believe he's going to become the best midfielder in Europe in a couple of years. He's already the best midfielder in Serie A. But he can still improve. He's so young that he really can become even more powerful. And the question now is, when Felipe Anderson and Luis Nani recover, how will Lazio play? What's your thought?
I personally believe that Nani, I can only see him in this team. I can only see him play next to Immobile, to be honest. I don't see him being a player that, has for now, knows how to play in a 3-5-2, maybe on the sides, in midfield. Nani is, I think, a second striker or someone who can play obviously far on the left or on the right in a 4-3-3. But obviously, since we don't play on 4-3-3, he can only play in a 3-5-2 next to Immobile for me.
When it comes to Felipe, Inzaghi will change tactic for him and switch to a 4-3-3 eventually sometimes?
I personally believe that if you want to change that, it has to happen only because Lazio are in trouble and are struggling. Why would you want to change tactics when your team is working so well? I don't see the point of it.
The thing is, you probably need to change tactics to make your top players perform. So It could be an option.
Definitely.
I think.
Definitely, yes, no. That is true. That is just the only thing is, if obviously you are winning games and you're drawing games, but you're being constant and you're playing very well with this 3-5-2, changing it all of a sudden to a new formation, I think is it could be a bit risky, because changing it just when the team is performing so well, I think would be just wouldn't make any sense. It would make sense when you see the team is having a bit of difficulties, because at one point we will be tired towards February or March. It's inevitable. But I personally think that until the team is performing so well, I don't see the point of changing the formation as it is right now.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I mean, the problem is that they're not fit enough. I don't think they're going to play on Thursday. It looks like it's going to take a couple of weeks before they will be able to play again for Lazio. So Inzaghi have time. The problem is, at the moment, there are not many options. One of the questions were who's going to play next Thursday.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I was saying before when we were speaking about the benches. I think the big problem with Lazio is the bench. The top 11, I mean the first 11 that are on the team are outstanding. The problem is obviously they do need a rest from time to time, and Lazio is playing in both Europa League and Coppa Italia and the Serie A. You need at least two teams or someone that can give some oxygen to the players that are on the pitch. I do struggle to see if Lucas Leiva hurts himself, or God forbid, Immobile hurts himself, who can be the valid substitute to these players. I mean, Immobile today scored 3 goals. We need someone who can at least score 1 goal or 2 goals a game. I don't see Djordjevic doing that in the next future, to be perfectly honest.
Texas Laziali asked, okay, about this victory, what will happen Thursday? Will Inzaghi change the team, or will we play with the same 11 that played today against AC Milan? What's your thought, Simon?
I see us, maybe changing someone in the back. I don't know what the problem was with Wallace. Do you know what happened to Wallace when he came off?
Well, he had a injury. The doctor said that tomorrow they will evaluate, but I don't think he's going to play on Thursday. While Rado was nothing serious, he was just tired, and so he was sub. But again, with Hurt leaving the team, there are not many options there. Do you think De Vrij will play again? I mean,
I see De Vrij playing again. Because he controls the defense. B, because he's Dutch, so maybe he knows how the Dutch play. I mean, I'm going to talk a bit in that way, and definitely because we don't have many other options. I mean, the others are obviously Bastos, so I think will play. As we said, Wallace could be the third option back there after Bastos. Radu maybe could be a good solution. I think there's going to be a couple of changes in midfield. Immobile will be playing still, but I think most changes will be happening in midfield. Maybe I'm just saying maybe it could be happening that we take off Leiva just to give him some oxygen off, but that's obviously my opinion. It's just a question. Obviously, the man is playing very good, but it is a lot of effort playing now. It is a lot of effort playing 3 games in the arc of a week. That is a lot.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I think Parolo will play because he won't be able to play next Sunday because he got the red card today. Yeah. I think Murja will start. He didn't play a lot this beginning of the season, so I think he will have time.
Yes, I agree as well.
The big question is in front and in defense. Will Caicedo start his first match with Lazio? It could happen because, I mean, we're talking about Immobile, who scored 6 goals in 5 matches, but he needs to rest as well. And
he does.
Maybe this could be a good option and give some chance to Caicedo. But again, do you play Milinkovic and Luis Alberto? If they don't play, who plays this? Do you think Caicedo Palombi could be an option starting this Thursday? That would be a little bit risky. So,
it could be very. I don't think he wants to change too much. There will definitely be changes, as you very well underlined. Parolo is not playing on next week, so I think Parolo will be obviously playing in Holland. And Murja, I think Murja does deserve a chance to get back on, and we could be giving some oxygen to other players. The problem is with Immobile and Caicedo. Caicedo maybe he's come on from the bench many times, which I think, even today he didn't play, which I kind of think that there might be a chance that he might be either starting or definitely coming on at one point. That is my opinion on Caicedo. If he's not starting the game, he will come on.
And in defense, do you think that Felipe that entered today will play from the beginning next Thursday? Do you think he's
just arrived? I don't know whether it would be wise to change immediately in defense like that, because Lazio do play with a three line defense. You need to have three solid defenders who know each other pretty well. I think he needs still some time before getting the top 11. I mean the first 11.
He played well today when it entered, but the match was pretty much over, so he wasn't.
Yeah, it was
tested
compromised at the end. AC Milan were already resigned to what the game was. So at least he started getting his first taste of a Serie A game against an AC Milan team, which is still encouraging for a new arrival. But as I said, I still don't think that he will be making his appearance in the starting 11 on Thursday.
What was the man of the match for today for you?
Immobile, easy.
Yeah, 83% of our voters said it was Immobile. The second one, Luis Alberto, do you agree?
I do agree. Luis Alberto definitely A for the goal, B because when he started playing, as you very well underlined, the game changed completely. 15 minutes AC Milan were closing us. Then Luis Alberto took some initiative, and the game changed totally. Yeah,
it's incredible how this player completely changed from one season to another. It's simply astonishing.
It is, yeah. No, as I said, once again, great credit to Inzaghi and great credit to him, for believing even in Lazio. Because at the end of the day, he could have left at any point. Many players today, with football today, could leave if they don't see any space and any possibility. Instead of which, he trained hard, he's played hard, and I think it's very well done to the man, very well done to Luis Alberto.
Even to Tare, who selected him, that was.
Yeah. No, he had a great.
He doesn't get a lot of credit, unfortunately, Tare, but sometimes makes some good signing, to be honest.
You know what? When there's such a hard situation, and you work for Lotito and the situation, it brings many supporters to be against Lotito, against the whole presidency. And they see Tare as someone who works for Lotito. Therefore, he's the friend of my enemy is my enemy. That's how people sometimes see it. But Tare, he did bring great players to Lazio. Obviously, he did also bring players which we don't want to remember. But we do today. One of the players that he brought scored a goal. So credit to Luis Alberto and credit to Tare for that.
Watching the match today, when I saw Borini, I said, "Thanks God he didn't sign for Lazio. He was awful today."
Awful him, awful most of AC Milan. As I said, total disorganisation, and they were playing on their single players. I was seeing the game in the North End, in the Curva Nord, and judging from what I could see from there, until they could build us a new stadium where we can see the match better, the fact was that I couldn't see any, organisation in an AC Milan in the AC Milan attack. It was all in the hands of the single players, and that was, as I said, bad. Borini bad. Even the kid that played very well at the beginning of the season. What's his name? The striker, the AC Milan striker.
Cutrone.
Today he was inexistent.
I think he never touched the ball. De Vrij was simply astonishing. And again, one of the secret of this new season is De Vrij. Last year he played well, but not at this level. In Supercoppa, he pretty much destroyed Higuain. Higuain didn't have a single chance. And same thing happened today. I don't know if now his physical situation is it's perfect, and last year he was still struggling with his knee. I don't know if that's the reason why, but he's playing much better this year than last year.
I personally hope that he stays consistent with that, because De Vrij has a kind of a reputation of being a player that can play well for a month and then gets injured for two. And to be honest, with Lazio playing on three fronts, I seriously hope that doesn't happen again. I seriously hope that his knee has now solidified, and he's now going to play every game, because we do need the Fry. He's one of the top in his in defence, not just of Lazio but even in the Serie A, in my opinion.
Especially because we don't have a lot of options there.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
that's true.
Bastos played really well today. I was a little bit shocked he didn't have that many chances this season. What's your thought?
I see Bastos as someone who came also from a different league. When you come to the Serie A, you need to always learn how to play tactical, how to play defensive, because it's not a lie. Serie A is still a league which plays a lot on its defense and on its tactics. Bastos, at the beginning of the season last year was I think started playing well, then he lost himself a bit and then started getting himself back on. I think Bastos, has made improvements due to the fact that he's been now living in Italy and playing in the Serie A for some time. So he's started, learning more from what he saw and from how he played. And it's just inevitable because he is a good player. I see De Bastos being a good defender. That's definitely without a doubt for me. I would personally be enthusiastic in seeing a three-way defence: Bastos, De Vrij, Wallace. Not because I don't like Radu, but definitely because I would personally like to experiment it more, even for a future, because Radu does kind of have his age now.
Yes, and I was surprised because Radu didn't play that well last season, and he tended to make a little bit of mistakes during the match, which, playing in a central defender position could be costly. Instead, he started the season very well, and I think Inzaghi plays Radu because he's a little bit faster than Bastos, and like this, the three-man defense is not that slow. Wallace, it's not slow, but it's not very fast. And same thing for De Vrij. But
I personally see something on Radu is that when we bought him a long time ago from Dinamo Bucharest, he actually came as a centre-back.
Yep.
And then we put him on the left. Delio Rossi decided that he should play left-back. And, he played something like 8-9 years at the left back, but, he still is in his formation. He is a centre back. So I think the only thing about Radu was getting back into playing as a centre back, which was something he hadn't done for 9 years. So, I think it took him also some time to, let's say, learn back how it is to be as a centre back, since he hadn't played it for such a long time. And, I think now he's slowly getting back into playing in his original position. Considering as a left back, personally, I believe he did many good things, but also many mistakes that cost us some valuable points.
I totally agree. And I think this is a little bit the characteristic of Radu. He plays maybe 89 minutes perfect, and then 1 minute he does a stupid thing and costs you the match or maybe the victory.
That's true. Yeah.
Before this match, Lazio was considered a Europe League contender. Someone changed the idea now after this match against AC Milan. What's your thought? Do you think Lazio can really challenge for the top 4 places, or you're not convinced?
It's very, very early to say so. It's the beginning of September. Rome has a bit of a reputation of being a team that after 3-4 games, there's already everyone's speaking about first four positions, top 2, top 1. Mostly Rome, are definitely not Lazio, but they're usually the ones who believe that they can make it after 3 games. But I do believe that we can make a very good season. I see Lazio being a team that can finish in the top 5, in the top 6. Definitely, it has the potentiality. To finish in the top 4, we do need substitutes, and we do need to see how the team arrives, obviously, to March and February, which is usually the period where teams start being tired. And Lazio could, God forbid, that's not going to happen, but Lazio could struggle if we don't get any valuable substitutes on.
Yeah, it's true that Lazio have still some money to spend, so I hope that in January, if needed, someone will come, especially a defender. I think it could be very useful. it's going to be really, really important, I think, for the next month to see how the youngster perform. You know, we were talking about Palombi, Murgia, Creco, who didn't play a single minute, but even Felipe that entered today in defense. You know, this type of players must perform because, as you were saying, we don't have enough players for 3 competition, so they'll have to play and have to prove that they are able to play at this level, which is really important.
These players are. We definitely need to hope that they are up to the challenge, which isn't always very easy sometimes, and it has happened in our past. It didn't happen, and we ended up having a bad season. But so far so good, and we must be confident that even Felipe, he's come on and now he's gonna perform up to standards. We must be confident that even in the transfer market in January, some players will arrive. I know that historically speaking, Lazio have never done fantastic transfer markets in January. But hope is the last thing to die, and definitely we all hope that by the end of the 30th of January, we do have a couple of cards we can play.
I think the only time Lazio had a very good winter transfer market was when Ballardini was here and Lazio was fighting to not get relegated. That was the last time Lazio had a very good winter transfer market season. So
I remember that.
Hope we are not in that situation again. But I think...
Well, it doesn't look like we will be, but obviously, fingers crossed, that won't happen.
Yeah, we need probably... Well, we have to see how Felipe plays, and if Perche, who came back from Brescia, will be really part of the squad, or train with the other players that are off the list, like Djordjevic, Tunkara, etc. At the moment, like this, Lazio have only 5 central defenders, which I think it's not enough especially for 3 competition, especially for a team that plays with 3 defenders all the matches. So I think Perche will have to be part of the squad, even if today it wasn't even in the bench. I think the big problem is going to be there in the defense.
I personally believe that we do need to work on trying to get new defenders, and even the ones that we do have on our team, need to be ready for the challenge that awaits them. I personally trust Inzaghi because he's showed us more than once that he is a top manager. He loves Lazio, he loves where he is, and that he has created a fantastic syntony between fans and the team. We must trust that he can manage to get these players to be ready in case one of our players, like today, Wallace had a bad injury, or as I said again, God forbid, De Vrij has another one of his injuries. We do need to hope and that Inzaghi does get these players to be ready to the challenge that awaits them.
Do you think today it's more a victory thanks to Simone Inzaghi or to the players?
I might surprise you, but I'm going to say Simone Inzaghi, because the organisation that was on the pitch doesn't come just because of the players. AC Milan had a fantastic set of players today, but the organisation was terrible, and Montella gets lots of the blame. And Simone Inzaghi today put his team on the pitch, perfectly knowing how they could play, and the players knew what they needed to do. And I personally believe that the victory today is once again Simone Inzaghi's merit. And obviously, we do have the 2-3 players which are on another planet compared to other players, which have changed the game. That is definitely can be seen as a victory of a single player like Immobile, definitely. But I personally see a big organisation in the back and in the whole team, which is a big merit of Simone Inzaghi.
I think it's a tough call because, of course, you have to give big credit to Simone Inzaghi, not only for how he put the team, how the team plays, but even how he's able to make players like Luis Alberto and Milinkovic perform so well during the season. But at the end of the day, I think without key players, without top players, you can be the best manager of the world. You will never be able to win. So I think big credit to Inzaghi, but probably without Immobile today,
Definitely.
Lazio wouldn't have won. And I'm not sure, you said it a couple of times, I'm not sure Milan has those top players you're talking about, Burini, Cutrone, Montolivo, they are average players that,
the fact is, though, most of the players that they had on, the Montalivos, the Cutrones, even the Souzas, they are players that used to be on the team before. AC Milan did a great what is considered to be an incredible transfer market this summer. They were buying players every day. Çalhanoğlu, even Biglia, they brought many players on. But so far, the people that have impressed the most have been Sousa and Cutrone, players that have been on since last year. Actually, Cutrone came from the youth team. From the Primavera, exactly. Which makes me think, maybe there's something that is really not going with a team that spends so much on the transfer market and then doesn't manage to find a form when they're on the pitch.
What was your thought about Lucas Biglia's performance today?
Biglia, I think today was a bit. He didn't perform well. I can't lie to you. I think Biglia today was terrible, but I think he's terrible because the team around him wasn't working. He didn't inspire his companions as sometimes he did at Lazio. One thing that has to be said about Biglia is maybe even the atmosphere that he lived at the stadium was very against him. I was in the Curva Nord, as I said, and many things were said against Lucas Biglia today, and maybe he did. He's very. We've seen it at times. He takes things very personally. It might have influenced him a bit. That's just it could have happened.
Yeah, I agree. He didn't play that well, or at least he didn't play as well as we used to be seeing him when he was playing for Lazio. Again, as he's a playmaker, you can never tell if it's completely his fault or the problem was because the team didn't move very well. But again, 32 years old, you sold him for 20 million euros. I think that was an amazing deal. Do you think Lucas Leiva won the fight against Lucas Biglia today?
He won the fight 4-1. Easy as that. The answer can be just said easy as that. Lucas Leiva today, demonstrated, he's a very intelligent player. He knows how to play the game. Many people were worried at the beginning of the season. I can definitely say that I was worried as well that Leiva wasn't the substitute for Lucas Biglia, due to the fact that Leiva plays in a different position to Lucas Biglia. Leiva plays more of a defensive football rather than Biglia, who was a playmaker. But Leiva today demonstrated to be really up to standard, up to the challenge, and I think he's perfectly integrated very well with the team so far. He's working well. He's working really well. I have to say, Lucas is working really, really well.
And I think
Leiva.
Yeah, of course. And I think he works perfectly with Luis Alberto because he's very good in defending, while Luis Alberto is a sort of playmaker that can make the difference with the ball. And together they give quality and quantity to the midfielder for Lazio, probably even more than when Lucas Biglia was here. So I think...
the two come from Liverpool, don't they? Both of them, both Luis Alberto and Lucas Leiva.
I think they never played together that much because, Lucas Leiva in the last couple of years didn't play, and Luis Alberto the last season went on loan to Deportivo, I think. So I think they didn't play. They know each other for sure. But one thing very important about Lucas Leiva and Nani for me is that they bring that international experience that, for example, Lucas Biglia didn't have. I mean, they played so much in Europe, Champions League, Europe League, etc. That is something that was lacking in the squad.
I think international experience means a lot. We lived it with a big legend like Miroslav Klose. We knew he brought lots of international experience. I see international experience to be very important because people who do play international, who have international experience, do have a very strong personality even at times. They play on an international level as well. Obviously, it has to be when you play on at these levels, and
and I think one of the biggest difference is you play so often this very important key matches that, you get used to it and you don't get overexcited or over scared. If you find yourself down 2 goals or in a tough situation, you have the experience because you already been through these things, and you can calm down the rest of the team and give confidence to the other players, which was a thing that Lucas Biglia wasn't very good in that. And you can see it. I mean, I don't know you, but after Dybala scored and the draw against Lazio in Supercoppa, I thought, okay, that's over. Lazio will lose it, And I think
Biglia was, I agree with you. I think the big problem with Biglia was that, even when he was at Lazio, he was very often, even talking between supporters, that was the general idea. When the team started losing or the team, was in big difficulty, he wouldn't bring out lots of personality. And the team, obviously, Biglia being the captain, had this responsibility on his shoulders. This is out of the question, If you're the captain, you must bring, you do have a responsibility towards your teammates. And I think Lucas Biglia, many times, failed in what was his challenge. Maybe due to the fact that he wasn't ready for it. Maybe due to the fact that he didn't even want to be a Lazio captain, as we know with all the Candreva business. But, now he's gone, he's left. So I don't have a very good opinion about the person. But I mean, on a football pitch, and I personally wasn't a very big Lucas Biglia enthusiast for a long time, and I think what is lacking in him is personality, and today probably it showed.
Yeah, I think it's right to say that he's a great playmaker, but his personality limited him often, and you can see it when he was playing for Lazio that he didn't have that personality to lead the team to great victory. And it's not surprising that he never won a cup, because in the finals he never played that well to deserve to win. So I think that's something that you can see and tell about Lucas Biglia. It's funny, Simon, because even Keita lost today, so it's a perfect week for Lazio. Monaco lost 4-0 against Nizza, so the two big players leaving Lazio didn't have a nice weekend. Well, on the other side, Lazio had a great victory. Do you think they made the wrong move?
I hope they watch the highlights of Lazio tonight and think back of what they could have had this weekend with us.
Do you think the team is better this year than last year?
That is a hard question. I don't, simply because we didn't improve on the squad. We just took many substitutes of players that were leaving. I think to make a team better, you need to keep the top players and get someone that can be the substitute of them, maybe in the Europa League, maybe in something else. If we kept Keita and had Nani, yes, that would have been an improvement. If we kept Biglia and got Lever on, definitely that could have been an improvement on the team. But getting a big player off and getting a big player in, getting another big player off and getting another big player in, I mean, it can be an improvement. There can be an improvement on the game, but as a team, it is hard for me to say. I personally don't believe that there is an improvement. I believe that, if we are playing so well right now, the merit is Simone Inzaghi's. The players are performing as well as they could, the ones that are on, but as a team improvement, no, I personally don't.
I think the biggest improvement can come from the youngster. I'm talking about Murgia, that already showed that he has that talent to succeed. Unfortunately, we lost Hud, who was another youngster that could improve. But Palombi, I'm really looking forward to see Palombi play again, because he was so good last year with Nana. Lazio has Strakosha as well, who is playing better every day. So I think that could be the biggest difference for Lazio. And don't forget that Milinkovic-Savic is still young and he's still improving.
Oh, yeah.
So I think...
talking about... Yeah. Go on, sorry.
No, I think that could be the main difference. Of course, Nani and Lucas Leiva are coming to Lazio to show they're still able to play, they're still good quality player, etc. But the biggest difference can come from the youngster.
Yeah, the youngsters need to, and the good thing about Simone Inzaghi, which maybe was something that Pioli didn't do as much, is, he's playing a lot on the youngsters. Pioli managed to get out of there, maybe just Cataldi. I can't remember many other youngsters that Pioli made got out in order to make them play. Well, Simone Inzaghi has played with the youngsters before. He's played with the Morgias, with the Palombis, with all of them back, and he saw the potentiality, he saw what they could do, and he brought them to the first team. And they have been incredible improvements. The Crecos, Simone Inzaghi knows them, and I think we do need to play a lot on these new arrivals, which could be in the future for Lazio. Could mean also a big if these players will eventually want to leave at one point. If they play well, they could mean a good amount of money for us, which is always very important in today's football. And as you pointed out Strakosha before, I think Strakosha is another player. He arrived. The moment he arrived, people were saying, "Oh, he's Albanian, so he's just there because of Tare." He worked hard. I think Strakosha worked really hard, and now I think the general opinion is Strakosha is the best goalkeeper we could have right now, out between him, Marchetti, and Vardic.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Strakosha can still grow. And one thing positive of all these players come out from Primavera is I think and I hope they have a little bit of feeling for this team. I mean, I hope they were Lazio fan when they were youngster, and so maybe they will try to stick with the team instead of leaving as soon as possible for AC Milan or Inter. This is just my thought. You can never be sure about that, but you would think that
it's not just a thought. I think it's normal. We've being Lazio fans, we've seen even on the other side to Roma. They've brought up players which are Roma fans, Roma born and bred. They believe in their values and in their things. And this is something that maybe sometimes we have suffered, not having someone who was from Rome, a Lazio fan, born and bred. It was something that we've always suffered. We've suffered for a very long time since Alessandro Nesta, Paolo Di Canio. We've had our own Lazio fans, born and bred Romans, and for some time we had missed this. And I think it's about time. Even the Lazio fans need someone who can represent them as in terms of he's a supporter and he plays for our team. Right now we are how can I put it? We are in love with players such as Immobile, such as obviously Lulic, who's a hero for us, and Milinkovic-Savic. They are great players. They are idols. They've become very important players even for the supporters. But obviously they're not from Rome, and I personally believe we do need a Roman who can one day be captain of Lazio in maybe 4 or 5 years, but still play on in the ranks.
I totally agree, and that's one of the reasons why I loved what Simone Inzaghi did last year, giving the chance to this youngster like Murgia, Greco, etc., to play, because in the past years we didn't have a lot of Primavera players making it to the first squad, even though Lazio Primavera won a couple of Coppa Italia, Scudetto, etc., and no one was able to crack to the first team, which was unbelievable. I think big part was fault of the manager, Eddie Reia, Stefano Pioli never gave them a real chance, while Inzaghi did. So I think this is really important for the fans as well.
They had their football ideas. What happened. At the end of the day, Simone Inzaghi, as I said, he did manage the youth team. So he did the Primavera. He knows these players. He's played with them. He knows very well what they can do, and that's probably something that Pioli and Reia, maybe for very different mentalities. Reia is an old manager with the very old ideas. Pioli brought some fresh air for a year, but they probably don't know how to play with young players, and that can be a fault. That can be something that's just the way they are. Simone Inzaghi has worked on this, and luckily this has brought some very positive and some very good results.
Just to wrap it up, what do you think this victory will give to Lazio?
I think it's an extra boost because, it was beating one of the top three teams, which I possibly see as Inter, Juve and Milan in terms of, prestige. Beating them on a 4-1 victory. 4-1 victory is a lot against one of these teams, especially a team like AC Milan, who has been spoken so much during the summer. I think can be an extra boost, for trying to achieve a very good start to the season, and by December, by Christmas, seeing where we are. But definitely, this is a very important victory, because winning 4-1 against AC Milan is always incredibly important.
I totally agree with you, and I think that the fact that Lazio will play again on Thursday won't give too much time to celebrate. That's good, I think, especially thinking of what happened against Spal after the Supercoppa Italiana victory. I thought Lazio players were still celebrating instead of getting prepared to the next match. But I totally agree. I think this will give extra confidence to the player, a boost for the next match, especially because after the Europe League there is Genoa-Lazio, and as a Lazio fan, I think you know what happens every time Lazio go to Genoa and play against Genoa. We always lose. One way or another.
It's always hard. It's always hard. I mean, Genoa are a team that play always a strange type of football. Them, Chievo, when they come to Rome and play against us, oh my God, it's really it's the other teams that are a bit of a taboo sometimes for us, and it's about time we, even on a 4-1 victory against AC Milan, that can be a boost to destroy that kind of taboo.
And it's simply incredible because all the time happens the same thing. Lazio dominate, and in the last match, counter-attack of Kiev and they score and they win. It always happens like that. So
sometimes I won't lie to you, sometimes I don't even watch Lazio Kiev because I know it's going to end that way. And I'm not even joking. It has happened a couple of times and it did end that way.
Yeah. I often tell to my son, you know what's going to happen. They're going to score in the last minute and they're going to win.
So, gosh, I've got the kind of impression that if we played 15 times against Barcelona, we could win 3 times. If we play 15 times against Kiev in Rome, no, that's not going to happen. But
yeah, let's hope we are able finally to win against Genoa away. That would be really important because after this win against AC Milan, winning again will give the boost, the confidence to the team that wasn't a fluke. That's real level that Lazio can play this season. Simon, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you will have
Pleasure.
time to join to another podcast in the next weeks. We always looking for new friends to join us. So when you want, just give me a call and you're free to join.
Thank you very much for your time, Vittorio. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And Forza Lazio.
Always. It was my pleasure. Thank you very much and have a nice weekend.
Take care, you too. Bye.
Ciao.
Watching